quiet town, a hidden conflict, and then sudden chaos. Dozens of members of the Hells Angels stormed a rival clubhouse in Maitland, New South Wales. This wasn't a simple altercation, it was a deliberate takeover. The target was the Gladiators, one of the state's oldest motorcycle clubs. They had held their clubhouse at Horseshoe Bend for over 30 years, but in just one night, their longtime base was taken. Why here and why now? This wasn't just another gang fight. It marked a significant shift that could reshape the criminal landscape of the Hunter Valley. What happened inside that clubhouse was only the beginning. In this report, we'll explain exactly what took place in Maitland when the Hells Angels entered Gladiators territory. We'll cover the events that followed, the violent attack, the police response, and the potential long-term consequences for organized crime in New South Wales. Who are the Gladiators? The Gladiators are a well-established outlaw motorcycle club in Australia, having formed in the early 1960s. Their base has always been Maitland, but over time they extended their reach into Newcastle, Grafton, and Gunnedah. Their clubhouse on Portland Street in Horseshoe Bend had been their home for over 30 years. More than just a physical location, it represented the club's identity. Unlike some larger and more aggressive clubs, the Gladiators tended to keep a lower profile and avoided major public confrontations. That quieter reputation made the sudden move by the Hells Angels even more surprising, not just for Maitland, but for the wider Hunter region. It signaled an unexpected and bold change in gang dynamics. What happened? The takeover. The takeover was fast and aggressive. Reports say about 50 members of the Hells Angels, many of them masked and armed, entered the Gladiators Clubhouse. Within minutes, they had seized control of a location the Gladiators had occupied for decades. But they didn't stop at taking the property. They also approached the members. Some Gladiators were given a choice: patch over, so leave their club and join the Hells Angels, or walk away. A few agreed to switch allegiance, while others were forced out, leaving the club weakened and divided. According to sources familiar with the underworld, this wasn't random. It was part of a larger expansion strategy, the goal to establish a new hunter crew in Maitland and solidify the Hells Angels' influence in the region. Both social media and local news have described this as a major move that could shift the balance of power in the area's motorcycle gang scene. The immediate aftermath. Arson attack. Just days after the takeover, Maitland was struck again, this time by fire. In the early morning, a burning car was deliberately driven into the gates and outer shed of the Gladiators' Portland Street clubhouse. Witnesses described seeing thick smoke rise over the neighborhood. Police treated the incident as suspicious and likely connected to the earlier takeover. One man was hospitalized after the fire and placed under police guard, suggesting authorities believed he was involved. There were also unconfirmed reports of gunfire. While the building wasn't completely destroyed, the attack sent a strong message. The conflict was not over. It turned what had started as a gang conflict into a broader public safety concern. Police increased their presence in Maitland, trying to prevent further violence. The police response, Raptor Squad, and public safety orders. As tensions escalated, police moved quickly. New South Wales elite anti-gang unit, the Raptor Squad, was deployed to Maitland. Their arrival signaled that the situation was considered serious. Their first major step was to issue 27 public safety orders, PSOs, temporarily banning members of both the Hells Angels and the Gladiators from approaching the clubhouse or gathering in key areas for 72 hours. These orders are used only when there's a real and immediate threat to life or property. The goal was to stop any further retaliation or planning by either group. Behind the scenes, detectives began investigating who organized the takeover, who was responsible for the fire, and whether more violence was likely. While the 72-hour pause brought temporary calm, everyone knew it was not a long-term solution. The big question remained: what would happen once the orders expired? Context: a wider pattern across New South Wales. What happened in Maitland is not an isolated event. Police have been monitoring increased activity by outlaw motorcycle gangs across New South Wales. Earlier in 2025, joint operations by NSW and ACT police led to raids, arrests, and seizures involving the Hells Angels. These were part of a broader crackdown on organized gang activity across the state. From a law enforcement perspective, the Maitland incident was not a surprise. It was part of a larger trend. Authorities had already seen signs of power moves and territorial conflicts, often involving intimidation, violence, and public safety risks. This explains why police acted so quickly in Maitland. They had seen similar scenarios before, and they wanted to prevent further escalation. By deploying the Raptor Squad and issuing PSOs, they also sent a broader warning: any group attempting to gain control through violence will face immediate action. Why Maitland matters. Maitland is more than just a small regional town. It's located in the heart of the Hunter Valley, an economically and strategically important region of New South Wales. Whoever controls the area controls access to key routes, resources, and influence across the region. This is why the recent events have attracted so much attention, not only from the public, but from police, media, and other organized groups. The situation in Maitland is a critical moment in a much larger conflict playing out between outlaw motorcycle gangs and the state. How it unfolds could influence the future of organized crime in the Hunter Valley and beyond. Strategic importance of Maitland. For outlaw motorcycle gangs, Maitland and the surrounding region hold significant strategic value. Its central location provides access to key transport routes leading to Newcastle, Sydney, and northern New South Wales, making it a critical hub for movement, logistics, and influence. The Gladiators recognized this importance decades ago, which is why they established Maitland as their base of operations. Their clubhouse in Horseshoe Bend was more than just a meeting place. It was a symbol of their long-standing presence and control in the region. Losing it represents more than the loss of a building. It signals a potential shift in power over one of the Hunter Valley's most vital areas. For the Hells Angels, taking over this territory offers an opportunity for significant expansion. There are already credible reports of plans to establish a dedicated hunter crew operating out of Maitland. If successful, this would give the Hells Angels a permanent foothold in the area, reinforcing their existing presence in Newcastle and consolidating their control over the Hunter Valley. Gaining influence in this region is not just about status. It provides access to resources, recruitment opportunities, and increased freedom to operate without crossing into rival-controlled areas. This has raised concerns among law enforcement, as it could intensify gang-related activity and make policing in the region more challenging. The struggle for Maitland is not only a local conflict, it represents a broader fight for influence across the Hunter Valley. Control here could provide a launching pad for further expansion across New South Wales. In the wake of the takeover, police moved quickly to contain the situation. Authorities follow a clear strategy in situations like this: stabilize, contain, and disrupt. The first response involved issuing 27 public safety orders, PSOs, in Maitland. These orders temporarily barred both the Hells Angels and the Gladiators from the area around the clubhouse for 72 hours. The goal was to prevent further conflict, restrict movement, and give detectives time to investigate. This initial action is designed to prevent immediate retaliation, often expected within the first 24 to 72 hours. Police remain especially alert for acts such as arson, vandalism, or drive-by attacks. In Maitland, a car was deliberately set on fire and driven into the gates of the Gladiators Clubhouse. One man was hospitalized and placed under police guard, suggesting he may be connected to the incident. Police treated the fire as suspicious from the outset. Such incidents lead to increased patrols, broader search areas, and evidence-gathering efforts focused on accelerants, communications, and known associates. After the immediate threat period, enforcement shifts to mobility and compliance operations. Raptor squad teams begin conducting firearm prohibition order (FPO) checks, bail compliance visits, consorting warnings, and targeted traffic stops. These actions are intended to disrupt logistics and reduce the gang's ability to plan or act freely. While these tactics may seem procedural, they have a significant impact. They fragment coordination, increase pressure on individuals, and divert gang resources toward dealing with legal issues rather than organizing further action. Police also monitor large gatherings such as clubhouse meetings, group rides, or regional events. These can quickly escalate tensions or trigger additional incidents. In earlier operations in 2025, coordinated checkpoints and compliance checks were used to track and disrupt outlaw motorcycle club activity across New South Wales and the ACT. Authorities are expected to apply the same approach in Maitland. The overarching objective is not only to contain current unrest, but to prevent further escalation. As of now, the following details have been verified by police and reputable news sources. The Hells Angels carried out a hostile takeover of the Gladiators Clubhouse in Maitland, a site the Gladiators had occupied for more than 30 years. A few days later, a suspicious fire occurred when a burning car was deliberately driven into the property. One man was hospitalized and placed under police guard in connection with the incident. In response, the Raptor squad issued 27 public safety orders, temporarily banning members of both clubs from the location. There are credible reports of plans by the Hells Angels to form a hunter crew which would expand their long-term presence in the region. However, other reports, such as the number of individuals involved in the takeover or claims of gunfire, remain unconfirmed and are under investigation. These details mostly come from anonymous sources or underworld contacts and should be treated with caution until verified. Staying focused on confirmed facts helps prevent the spread of misinformation. What happened in Maitland goes beyond one clubhouse or a rivalry between two gangs. This event demonstrates how symbolic real estate, especially locations with decades of history, can become flashpoints in the outlaw motorcycle club world. In bikie culture, territory represents more than physical space. It signifies identity, power, and control. When a location like the Gladiators Clubhouse is taken by force, it sends a message to other groups and can trigger wider regional conflicts. For law enforcement, Maitland has become a high-stakes case study. It illustrates how quickly tensions can escalate and why a swift, structured response is essential. The deployment of the Raptor Squad, enforcement of PSOs, and visible policing all form part of a strategy designed to contain the violence and prevent it from spreading. The immediate goal is community safety, but the broader objective is to dismantle the criminal infrastructure that allows such takeovers to happen in the first place. Police understand that if the situation in Maitland is not controlled, it could trigger similar events across the Hunter Valley or further afield. Every step taken is therefore being closely observed, not only by rival clubs, but by law enforcement agencies across the country. This is no longer just about the Hells Angels and the Gladiators. It is a warning sign of how territorial conflicts can quickly turn into regional power struggles. The Gladiators have lost a stronghold they held for decades, and now Maitland finds itself under intense police scrutiny. What began as a single gang's attempt to seize territory has evolved into a broader struggle over the future of organized crime in the Hunter Valley. As police continue their operations and maintain pressure through PSOs and patrols, One central question remains. Will these efforts lead to lasting stability or simply delay the next outbreak of violence?